Years ago, when I was an active landscape designer, I would have people every once in a while ask me, if you were to do something like this with your own yard, what exactly would you do? How would you handle the situation that I have? And I always told them, it all depends on how you are going to use this portion of your yard. How are you going to use your patio? How are you going to use your landscape? So I thought, since I have some landscaping projects that I want to accomplish in my yard, I thought I'd put together a video series that kind of documents how a landscape designer would go through the process of creating their own landscape. So what would you do? Here's my dilemma. Here's my situation. I have an outdoor kitchen that I started working on a couple years ago, and it's served its purpose to some degree, but there's some issues that have popped up and I need to fix them. One of which is I don't have a sink in my outdoor kitchen. If I'm grilling, sometimes I have raw meat juices on my hands and I need to wash my hands. I'm an active gardener, so quite often I'm walking around with dirt all over my hands and I want to wash them off before I go inside the house, and I don't have an outdoor kitchen. So how do I go about creating an outdoor sink in my outdoor kitchen? So here's my situation. Here's my current situation. First of all, this is a temporary structure. I put it up there so I would have some protection from the rain. That's my dog Merlin. Some protection from the rain, but I didn't want to spend a huge amount of money and effort at the point I put that up. My outdoor kitchen has a grill, has a griddle. It has these cement blocks, which I got from Lowe's. I do not endorse them. They're not endorsing me. These are just the blocks that I happen to be able to come across. Has a griddle, my wife's little garden statue on this side. I have a grill, surface areas that I'm going to put my sink into. So here's my three considerations. If I put the sink over here, that would take up a lot of space that I use. I use this surface quite a bit when I'm grilling. I put pots and pans and grilling utensils and whatever on that surface, and that's the ideal spot to put a sink. If I put the sink on this side, I have to put the griddle someplace. So I could put the griddle over here. I'm leaning toward that idea. I'd have to redo the opening. The statue's going to have to find a new home. I'm going to have to lower that spot, but that's a possibility. The third possibility I have is putting it over here. This is an open space that doesn't have any purpose. I have this small area that is where my one of my dogs, Chewy, does his business. And where I have this copper tub sitting right now is where I thought that might be a good spot. By the way, this is the tub that I'm using. It's a copper boiler. I think that would make a really cool sink. So those are the design considerations. I'm going to call this part one of this series on where should I put it. If I put it here, my water source is 120 or so feet away, and that's a problem. If I put it on this side, whether it's there or here, my water source is about 20 feet away. Now here's the situation with the water. This is not drinkable water. I have no intention of making food, cooking out here and making food with the water source. The water source is for washing my hands. I've been drinking out of a garden hose for most of my life, and I've never had any problems, and I'll probably continue to do that. But that's not, this is a hand washing station. It's not a drinking water station. I have water. I have a misting system on my arbors, which works phenomenally. So I have water on that post. In fact, you can probably see the garden hose. So I have water very, very close by. I can hook up to this area. Plus the garden hose comes from that corner of the house. So I do have water nearby. Um, the gray water then will be going into a container that I can use to water my garden. So it's not getting hooked into the septic system at all. I'm not super crazy about this part of this section of the patio anyway, because I have this grill. I just got this grill not too long ago. I like the built-in look of the grill. My little wall right there is leaning a bit. I don't like looking at the wheel on the grill, so at some point, if I don't choose this as a spot to put the sink, I'm probably going to redo the blocks anyway to hide the wheel and reset this anyway. So we'll see where this project turns out. You know my design considerations. I'm leaning toward putting my sink here. We'll see where it goes. Stay tuned for part 2.